The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
There's a girl, she's a star, she's got style, Steffi Star, you see her face around the town, she's popular, Steffi Star.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Weinstein.
And I'm Meredith Keach.
And we have a guest today, because we always have a guest.
Thank God we have Nate Crossman.
Yay, Nate.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Nate. Nate, we're a little kooky today because we haven't done a show for a while.
Yeah.
And we've both been traveling the entire month of August.
Yeah, so has Nate.
As of
Yeah. So we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We don't
All
know
in the
what's
same
going
boat.
on.
I said to a
I don't
friend
even
of
know
mine,
what today is.
I said, Nate Crossman's coming on the podcast. He goes, oh, Nate Crossman's wicked funny.
Well, I'll
try
be.
to be pretty funny.
You know what, Nate? I'll be the judge of that.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll see how this goes.
I've already wooed Meredith, so you'll have to see if it's actually funny.
I'll have to see if I laugh. I don't like fake laughing.
Really? You
Yeah.
don't want to have a laugh track?
No. Well, I do. Ha ha ha.
Excellent. Way to go.
Thanks. All right. What are we talking about today?
Our travels. Let's start with that. But also, let's talk about Nate a little bit first. Because Nate has you asked, tell me about Nate.
Who is Nate Crossman?
Yeah. Tell us about I love what you did in the beginning, which is also cool because Nancy's dad did the same thing as you did. So tell
Yes.
Steph about that.
So currently I am the assistant principal at Easton Middle School, but as Meredith is referring to, I have not always been in education. I graduated, I'm originally from Rainham, went to Bridgewater Rainham High School, and I graduated from Stonehill in 1999. And I was a journalism minor, communications major at Stonehill, so my first job was at a newspaper in Northampton.
Can I stop
sports.
you right there?
You can stop me anytime you want. It's your show.
Well, did you know Professor Carver?
No.
Fine. Okay, continue.
So moved out to Northampton, worked, covered sports, covered UMass, high school, things like that. Then I went down to Lynchburg, Virginia, and covered sports there, covered college sports, Virginia Tech. So as Meredith is referring to, when I was down in Virginia, I met my wife, Nancy, who, as it happens, is her father was also a sports writer for the Quincy Patriot Ledger and covered the Celtics for 30 years or 25 years. So
Stop.
Nate was a shoo-in.
I was a shoo-in, yeah. So I had an inside track.
What
on
was her
that
dad's
one.
name?
Mike Fine. Yeah, so covered Celtics for a long time. Kind of an expert in if you think about the sports writers who are most closely associated with the Celtics, Jack McMullen, Bob Ryan. So he was kind of in that same crew. I think Jack McMullen babysat for my mom when she was young. For my wife when she was younger. And Larry Bird held Nancy when she was a baby. So, and this was the time of sports writers when they traveled with the players. So there was, even when I did it, there's a bit of a separation between the sports writers and the teams. But then it was not uncommon for players who lived in Hingham to carpool with the sports writers, which, you'd find now, Jason Tatum would not drive to the Celtics game with a reporter, but then it was common. So he has a lot of cool stories, had a lot of great access back in the day. So, yeah, so that was my deal. And then I moved back to Massachusetts, did some freelance sports writing for a while. Just wasn't a great time because that was when, I know it's hard to imagine a time before there was internet, and then when my career started, we had one computer that had internet, and we were typing on the computers had the black background with the green letters, right?
Yep.
As the years went on, the internet became more prevalent, and newspapers lost a lot of advertising money to websites like Yahoo and things like that. So newsrooms that were once 12 to 15 people are now 6 to 8. So the jobs just weren't as plentiful. So I just decided on a career change. my mom was a teacher in Brockton, so I got into the education gig, and I love it. So I was in Brockton for 15 years. This is my second year in Easton, so it's great being in education in the town you live in, because you have so many great relationships with the kids and the parents. So
everyone I know was so excited to hear that Nate got the job. Yeah,
that's good.
Except
good
Evan.
Yeah, my son is going in the 7th grade. He was
He's like,
so I said to Evan, "Do you like having your dad as the principal?" He said, "No, I don't."
Yeah, he was not thrilled, but it went okay. And I think at the end of the day, I get to spend a lot of time with my father because we umpire baseball games together. So I think at the end of the day, he probably will enjoy having spent an inordinate amount of time with his dad.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Grandpa Skip Crossman is the head of the umpires.
Oh.
So let me tell you, it is so much fun to stand near Grandpa Skip during a Little League baseball game, because he is full of things to say in what he is witnessing, calls, plays, the play of the game, and he lets it rip.
Wow.
Yep.
He's a character. Yeah,
He
he's
is
a
a
man
character.
of opinions.
Yes.
Yes. Of all kinds.
And then he'll give us
I
the
love
ruling, what
that.
the ruling is. Like, what went on there, Skip? And he'll give it.
Yeah, it's great.
He'll quote it from the book.
My father, everyone has their thing at the baseball game. Meredith, have you told your audience what your thing is when you cheer? You have a unique cheer.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think it was that unique. I just said,
What is it?
I'd say, here we go, batter.
What? Here we go, batter.
Yeah.
Like that, batter.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to say
we all thought that was Keegan's nickname for a while.
batter.
Yeah, and I thought you were saying like better, and then we realized that was just her cheer. Let's go batter.
Yeah.
In a great, New England accent. So
Yeah.
that's
And I
it.
would just say it. So I tried not to be like obnoxious, just say it. So he knew, like, I was there
Right, he
cheering
heard
for
you.
him, and that was it. But then somebody said, "Oh, we know Meredith's here because she just cheered for Keegan." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm supposed to cheer for everybody."
Everybody gets the batter cheer.
Now everybody gets the batter.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm just supposed to say, let's go batter, 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 batter. Wasn't there something else with the batter, 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 batter?
Yeah, there's the like batter, swing batter.
Yeah.
Batter, batter, swing,
go,
batter, batter,
batter,
batter. Let's
swing.
go batter, batter, batter.
Yeah,
I just say batter.
One batter.
Yep, that's it.
Batter.
Pitcher. I'll say
in the,
pitcher.
In the New
Here we go,
York,
pitcher.
in the New York, in the Boston accent.
Yeah.
Pitcher. Let's go, pitcher.
Yeah. Especially
Batter,
when
batter.
the
Now I
team,
want to go to a baseball game.
it's so fun. I love it. But we playing against so the team that Nate coached just went to the World Series, the Cal Ripken World Series, which is
absolutely incredible.
so exciting.
That is so unbelievable.
Yeah. We had quite a run.
Oh my God,
Yep.
you really did.
And for me, I want to hear your perspective on it, Nate. For me, the special piece of it was that they were boys that have known each other, many of them since they were babies. They went to daycare together. And if not, they went to kindergarten together. Like, they've grown up together, and the parents are amazing, just fun. And it's not a club team. It was the town team. Like, we see each other at the grocery store, or we were on a podcast together, or, you're the principal of my kid's school. Like, we're in the same community. And although Easton's not small, some people think it's small, it's really not that small. It was small in comparison to some of these other teams that, they picked from. And it was just a special one. We spent 3 weeks together. We went to Cooperstown, and Nate and 3 other dads stayed in the bunks with 12-year-old boys.
We did.
Wow.
For how many days? 4 or 5 days?
5 days, I
5
think. Yeah,
days?
5 days.
That
probably
sounds
total.
like fun.
24
Nate.
hours a day. They were in their purview. And then we came home for a week and a half and went to Branson, Missouri for the Cal Ripken World Series, which was just
Absolutely incredible.
so fun. So fun. Such a special.
How were the boys feeling when they had to come home? Were they okay?
Depressed.
They
I think they probably would have just moved to Missouri at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
They could all live together.
Yes.
Did they?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably would have cried.
So Keegan asked Evan, I was listening. So they lost on a Thursday morning, and then Thursday afternoon they were hanging out. And at one point, it was hitting Keegan pretty hard at that point because it's over.
Keegs.
When
Right.
you're 12, you don't recognize it until it's over. And that means no more games at militia and all of it. And he said to Evan, "Wait, do we have summer ball anymore?" And it was like such a sweet little conversation.
Yeah.
Give me a tissue.
It is. I mean, but they had a great run. What
Yeah.
was it like for you in 24 hours a day with these boys?
It was good. I mean, I think just to your comment, I would say that, one thing that, I have an older son who's going to be a sophomore. So, I've been at this for a while, and, I think what we're seeing in especially the youth, or, if you would classify high school as youth sports, or, whatever you would call that realm, there's a lot of specialization, right? And you mentioned travel teams and club teams. Like, all these kids are playing on various teams, whether it's soccer or lacrosse or field hockey or hockey, everyone's doing, trying to do multiple things for multiple people. And I think the one thing that's lost sometimes is that, when it's all said and done, right? And I played football, baseball, all my whole life, all the way through. When it's all said and done, you're going to remember the times you played with your friends, right?
Yes,
That's
so
it. It's just, that's just the way it is. You could go on to have a great college career, playing sports. I'm sure, if you could even, you could ask professional athletes, but I guarantee you the times that they remember the most are the times they spent with their friends, competing for a championship, competing for one thing. So I think to that point, it was pretty special because, we all got new uniforms down at the tournament. So, countries had their country name, some regions had the regional name, and we had Easton on the front, right? So the conversation we had before a lot of the games was like, hey, there's a lot of people at home. No one at home cares if you struck out or threw a wild pitch or won a loss, right? They're just proud of you guys because you made it this far. You're playing for the name on the front of the shirt, So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, it is emotional for those kids. It's emotional for the coaches too. I wasn't the head coach of that team. Chris Shadis is. We had Dave Crabb and Kellen Reed helped out. And for all of us, that's it. Like, our kids are not playing at Militia anymore. So we got a banner, and I had to come home early for work, and I was able to go down to Militia, by myself, no one there, and I hung the banner up, and I was like, oh, this is like, this is kind of cool,
Yes.
like a little emotional.
You got dewy?
Yeah, a little dewy, as I, to the extent I'm able to do up,
Right.
That's probably, like I got there. But, they spent a lot of hours down there. And, they're not moving very far. They're just playing a different brand of baseball on a different field, and they're all playing together. So it's not, it's not like they're all moving to, to the parts unknown. But, it's just a different, it's it's kind of an insula. It's almost like an echo chamber. You live this life for so long, you think Militia Park, is the greatest place in the world, and it is to a certain extent. And now, you're just doing something else. So
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, staying with the kids was great. And I think I'm in education, right? So I always tell everyone I'm an expert in one thing. It's kids, right? That's it. I know middle school kids really well, but I've worked with younger kids. I never really worked at the high school level, but I got teenagers, so I know kids. I can tolerate all kinds of attitudes and personalities. I have a lot of patience.
He knows all the language.
I know all the lingo. Yeah,
That's important.
Keegan taught me a few of them.
I'm not surprised.
And but the other coaches are not in education. These are guys who have are in the business world or the finance world. So I think them going into it were they just didn't know, right? Will I be able to spend this much time with children without losing my mind or me losing it on them?
Right.
And they all said it was like way better than they thought, right? Because the kids, they live in their dream.
Yeah.
Man. It's like, if you remember when you were a kid, you couldn't think of anything cooler when you were 12 than going on vacation with your friends, right?
Right.
You wouldn't vacation your family.
Exactly.
Like, what if all my friends were here and we just we were just hanging out all the time? So that's what they did. They were very well behaved compared to some of the other teams we saw. They were, if they weren't playing baseball, which was a lot of baseball, they would occupy their time trading pins,
They traded
Oh,
pin
that's
stuff.
fun.
So each team brings pins, and they're beautiful. Like, so you bring
Easton
thanks to
pins?
Christine, right? And Nancy.
Yeah, Christine Shadis came up with the design. They were pretty cool.
Yes. So there were the coveted ones, and those were limited in number, and it was a huge tiger pin like you would put on your shirt.
Oh.
But they collect them and trade them. And then a smaller pin that was less valuable. But the tiger turned out to be the most valuable pin of all in
Of
all of the trading.
What?
Uh-huh.
The Easton Tiger?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it was big, huge, flashy, and he had muscles and the whole thing. So all the boys wanted it.
Yeah, and they became very well, very well versed in the trading culture very quickly.
Yeah.
And, they would just grab their books and they're trading 2 for 1 and they
Yeah.
knew what the rare ones were. And there was some money exchanged at some point.
They'd a skit. They'd try to dupe people.
Yeah, they'd try to
Scam
go up.
'em.
Yeah, try to scam those kids.
Kiggy.
Yeah. But it was great. Like I said, we ate our meals together. But what I liked about it was that we were all just there, and we were able to just it was just baseball in your face all the time. Branson was also a super cool experience. It was just a little more spread out. So it was just a different trip. I mean, on that trip, the kids were able to, get on a boat, go to a fancy restaurant, so it was
Nice.
just different. But
Right.
yeah, and the good thing is I've known most of these kids before I was assistant principal. So, I guess one would imagine like how cool can that be to be in the, with your assistant principal for 4 days, and it's like I don't think they viewed it like that. I think it was a little more relaxed because we had, had a prior relationship, so that was
Right.
cool.
What's the coaching style nowadays with the dads?
It varies. And Meredith can probably speak to that more being on the sidelines, but I think that it varies. I am like I said, I try to be an expert in children, so I'm always up to I'm always up.
You're in their psyche.
Well,
right?
I feel like I'm also up on the current, trends, or I try to be, right? I mean, because
Sure.
The way.
Can I just insert
Yeah, go ahead.
here? So we would all share cars with kids, and kids would change, and parents, and the whole thing. And at one point, Nate was in the back seat, the 3rd row, with a car full of boys playing Clash Royale.
Clash Royale.
Clash
yeah.
Royale.
I don't know what that is, but
So it's a video game that they all play, and they were teaching Nate what to do. And he already came into the game and could play it. So that is Nate's style. He's immediately relatable.
Yeah, relatable, I think, is a good word, right? I mean, I think the days of, and I can talk as a school administrator and as a, a coach, I think the days of sort of telling a student or a player, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and we're just going to do it because that's what we say. We don't do that anymore, right? I mean,
really?
yeah, I mean,
That's how I grew up.
Yeah, well, that's how a lot of us
Right.
grew up. But I think now, we want to, we want the kids to have agency. We want the kids to have, a stake in the game, right? So, and this generation now, I think, wants to know why, right? They want the why behind everything. Like, we're going to do that. Why are we going to do it? And as long as it's in a respectful manner, which it always is, whether I'm at school or coaching, you're able to give them the why. You take feedback. And I think that's more the coaching approach now, like from a coach to player relationship. You don't see a lot of I would imagine people picture like the Bad News Bears or something, like a lot of yelling and bad sportsmanship. That's really not. It's not like that anymore. There's the days.
Boring.
It's actually grateful as a parent watching
Right.
it.
Of course.
I mean, the parent,
Right.
but don't get me wrong. The dads, because dads are dads, they
yeah.
yell.
They're
There's-
still obnoxious.
But they're all different styles
Right.
for sure, and patience. And as Nate said to me at one point, we were talking about coaching styles of yelling, and he said, imagine if you're at your desk at work and your boss is screaming at you.
Right.
It's not going to
Right.
have the outcome that the boss is hoping.
course
They're
not.
yelling for themselves.
Right.
And he said that's the same with the coaching. It's just not, if you're yelling at a 12-year-old boy, he's going to be intimidated, not perform.
I had a friend that coached football in Sharon years ago. He's like, "Come on, you little peas." Oh yeah. He did get
I do not
asked.
condone that language.
He did get asked to not coach any longer.
And Nate also found out the meaning of some of the words that the kids are using. So then he said, okay, now that I know the meaning behind it, I'm going to ask you not to use that
Right.
word.
Right. Yeah. Once the cat is out of the bag, now if I hear that acronym at school, I will know.
Yeah.
They will know that there will be some reckoning on that one.
Ruh-roh.
But yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I agree with Meredith. Right. It's just, when these kids are playing, these kids have volunteered to play a sport, right, and they've dedicated their some of their free time to become good at it. And they've achieved a certain level where they're playing in a World Series, which not everyone gets to do. So I think that not assuming the best intent is, can be problematic sometimes. Not assuming that every kid is giving his greatest effort or her greatest effort out there. And there's always going to be physical mistakes, right? I mean, we talk, baseball, I coach, I help out with football. I coach basketball. I coach baseball. Maybe I'll coach some soccer now that my daughter's getting into that. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, we're never going to limit physical mistakes. I mean, those are going to happen, right? A ball's going to get through your legs. You're going to drop a pass. You're going to miss a shot. What we can probably cut down on is mental mistakes, right? Those are the things you control. Like you can control what you're thinking about before the pitch. You can control, where to stand on offense for basketball. You can control how much you study these plays. So when we run them, you know them. So those are types of things, I think we emphasize as coaches. And, if you drop a fly ball, we know you didn't mean to do it. You just didn't do it that turn, and then you'll catch it the next time.
I think baseball is the biggest head game.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I think it is one of the hardest games to play.
Absolutely.
I mean, they get into such slumps, right? And then they get into their head when they're up at bat.
Even at 12.
Well, right. And think about, think related to other sports. I think about basketball or, hockey to a certain extent too, right? I mean, you miss a basket in basketball, and chances are you're going to get another opportunity in about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute,
Right.
And the same probably with hockey, right? I mean, that game is ever moving and flowing and changing. So you goof something up here, you're probably going to get an opportunity to rectify that mistake in short time.
Yes.
Now, with baseball, you strike out, you might not get up for another 35 minutes.
Yes.
You drop a fly ball in the outfield, you might not get another one hit to you.
Yeah.
And if you can't be baseball is a game, it's such a cliche. It's said all the time, but baseball is a game of failure.
Yeah.
You are going to, even the best hitters at this level of baseball will only get 4 or 5 hits out of every 10 at bats. So that means 6 or 5 times you're failing. And if you can't, and we always say the word flush it, right? If you can't just flush it down the toilet and forget it, if you're going to hang on to that failure and not celebrate the times that you succeeded and did something really cool, baseball is just going to be a tough sport. And
that's a great point.
I love that. I'm going to start saying, Meredith, flush it down the toilet. Right? That's so great.
Yeah, we just
such
say
a great visual. Yeah. Right, flush it. Yeah. Oh, not toilet. Flush it.
Well, I
love that.
It'll sound cooler if you just say flush
it. Okay, got it.
At one point I did ask Nate, I'll ask you again, how do 12-year-old boys process that stress and anxiety, right? The stress of getting up at bat. Maybe they've been
differently, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's but differently, but also after each game, I was so impressed, whether they won or lose. They were just ready to move on. Are we going to the water slides? Or what are we doing for dinner? Like it wasn't.
They moved on.
They just moved on. And Nate said that that's a healthy approach for boys that age, that the ones who can't just move on.
They were living in the present.
They were living in the present.
Which is so great.
Yeah.
Well, my boyfriend played baseball for University of South Florida. Mm-hmm. He was shortstop. Yep. So I was friends with all the baseball players, and that was tough. I mean, they really went through mental slumps.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of them ended up getting drafted, but man, after a game, if they had a bad game, it took them a lot to get over it and get through it.
Yeah, we had a player on our team. His father played baseball at the University of South Florida.
Go Bulls.
Yeah, go Bulls. Yeah, it is a good approach, right? Because I think that all of our goals, all the coaches' goals are just to make. It's not necessarily to have success. Success is a byproduct of just, hard work or whatever. I think our goals are to make sure the kids play another year, right? So if you played baseball this year, if all 12 kids play again, I think we've had success because that means you had a good experience.
Yep.
You want to do it again, whether you were the kid who you did the best at hitting, or you were the kid who only got 1 or 2 hits. And now I'm not necessarily talking about the World Series team where all those kids have achieved a certain level, think about your town, your rec league, which has a wide variety of talents, right? If you can get all those kids to play another year, you've succeeded. And I think that the adults can really, through no fault of their own, right? Because not everyone, some people are not around any other kids except their own.
Yep.
Right. And the last time they were around a group of kids, they were one of the kids, and the grown-up spoke to them in a certain way. So when you put them in a situation where now they have to be in front of a group of kids, but they're not really, they don't really do that a lot. I mean, they can approach it the way that they were approached. And, I think if that weighs coming from somewhere negative, then a kid who can't necessarily process that or can't take failure and be like, well, I'll just do it better the next time. I think they might become discouraged to now pick that sport up, because now this picking up a baseball bat is now attached to something negative.
Right.
Because when they pick up the baseball bat, they kind of just think that they're going to miss. Whereas the coach that can come at it from the positive, that player knows that every time they pick that bat up, it's a different outcome.
Right.
Just because they struck out 37 times in a row doesn't mean on the 38th time they're not going to hit a home run.
Wait,
Right.
I have the best idea.
Great.
You need to write a training manual.
Maybe I will.
You need to do this, and all these parent coaches need to get trained on this. You need to do a training. You will go viral.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's these parents, they don't know. You understand kids. You know kids. And everything you just said needs to go into a training manual. These parents have no clue.
There's our clip, Adam. You can clip.
That is,
Clip it.
Nate, you're going to be rich.
Well, that would be great. I would really appreciate
Be
all
viral.
that money. Because I did ask my wife when we got home from Missouri, I'm like, do we have any money anymore?
No.
Is there anything left?
I haven't paid my bills
Yeah,
yet.
she goes, yeah, we do. I'm like, I don't know how that's
Yeah.
possible. Because every time I reached into my wallet, I feel like I took out $150. But,
Yes. There's nothing
It was
less
a
than
very
150.
expensive trip.
I mean, this whole summer cost thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
But
you did some traveling?
I did.
Oh,
We
okay.
went on a cruise to Bermuda. I went to Italy.
Ooh.
I had a beach house for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Just came back from Del Rey. We're heading back to Del Rey. We're going to the Bahamas. My boyfriend's going to Vegas. There's been a lot going on.
It's a lot.
Excellent.
It was a very expensive summer. And in the meantime, we still managed to work, right,
Yeah.
Meredith? And
Yeah.
close deals
Yep.
and take new listings and all that. But
Yep.
I am so excited for your manual.
Yeah.
I
that's a great
swear
idea.
to God, I really think it's going to be big.
It's
All right.
brilliant.
I
Well,
know.
I do have the writing background, so maybe
See?
I'll have to pursue this.
Yeah.
You have to. And even say we have to take real estate courses, and we go through this company called Keep Certified, and we have to pay online for this, and we have to listen to these guys talk about real estate stuff. You could do the same thing.
Yeah.
They
And
do
get
have,
paid.
and they do.
Just for dads
Yeah.
and moms who want to help coach.
And I think there are, USA Baseball and other organizations do a great job of. I haven't invented all these ideas spontaneously from my head. I mean,
But and you have an idea. So
I guess I have a good way to synthesize it. But I think these are ideas that are out there, and I think this is just my personal opinion, is that if you're not always around kids this age, and you may harken back to the approaches. I mean, I played high school football, right? No one would coach high school football the way I was coached high school football. It's just not a thing
Right.
anymore, right?
Right.
So if I went to coach a youth football team the way my coaches coached me in high school, although, I loved that time dearly, and, it made me a better person and taught me a lot of great lessons, it wouldn't
Let's
work.
face it, you're a little scarred from that.
Yeah, but like in a good way, I mean, where you talk about travel, I mean, I'm going to Vermont this weekend. Every year, my friends from Rainham and I go to Vermont and play golf up at Jay Peak. And I love it because I get a chance to spend time with my friends that we don't get to spend a lot of time with each other anymore. But I also love it because we just roll out those old stories, right?
Yeah,
we always talk
right.
about,
Yep.
we do talk about the times when this coach said this, or this coach did that, or we had this experience. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Scar's probably not the right word. I had always really positive experiences, but there was a certain expectation back then, right? So when
Right.
you showed up to football as a freshman, you knew what you were in for. There was no, you were not under the illusion that there was going to be an easy thing, that this was going to be like, a very supportive environment, you know, to a certain extent. It was trial by fire to a certain extent. You had to get through to get clean on the other side, and that's what we did. But I guess my point is that I could not take that same approach to the group of 6th and 7th graders that we coach football with now, because that would not be
right.
That would be
You know,
appropriate.
it was tough growing up in Sharon with a football team. I was dating the captain once, and they're like, "Yeah, what's your record?" He's like, "Oh, 8-2," but it was 8-2. By the way, 8-2.
Oh, yeah.
That was the going thing. Yeah,
It's a good way to approach it. I
Yeah.
also referee football too. So
referee. Oh wow,
so I referee high school football.
Nate coaches
busy.
and he's ump and ref.
wow.
He's got like the full depth of knowledge of the sports.
You really do.
which
I
is
try.
really cool.
I try to be constantly moving.
It's fun to have
Wow.
Nate on your team because he knows the
Wow.
rules inside and out, which is a huge advantage, by the way. And I witnessed that and understood it because they know when to call, when to challenge, what the rules are, it's a complete playbook. I mean, it adds a whole extra awesome level for
Yeah.
coaching because
Right.
they know those little nuances. And when you're in these games that you're like World Series, for example, and having that in your pocket is everything. It was really incredible.
Yeah, I think the one advantage that I found is that I know when an umpire is annoyed, like a situation where I would be annoyed.
Yep.
You know, so early in the game, if another coach says, "Well, I want to go out there and question this call," or I sometimes will say, "I would not go out there now because all we're going to do is bother that person."
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
later on, when we really need one,
Yeah.
we're not going to get it because I'm going to be thinking about, that time in the first inning
Yeah.
where you won't look for a balk. And
Yeah.
I said, well, why are we doing that in the
Yeah.
first inning?
Right.
And then when you come try to look for it in the 5th inning, I might call it on your team.
Right.
Just because now I'm really looking for it. And so I think that, in addition to knowing the rules, knowing being part of that life to a certain extent and, knowing how to read those people is helpful. So.
I feel like these parents should take an emotional intelligence test. These parents before they coach, because I feel like you really need to have that.
Yeah, and I think we were so fortunate. I mean, I've coached my oldest son, and I've coached Evan, and all the people I've worked with have been great. And they've come at it their own way, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's like me,
Yep.
right? We all have different approaches, but everyone has always had the kids' best intentions at heart, and really gone above and beyond in certain situations to help kids out, right? And that's what as an educator, I appreciate that too. People who are not going to show up and just be there for their kid, and they've been there for all the kids, have helped kids out in certain situations, families, and that's great too.
I always feel bad for the kids, like during Pop Warner football, that the coaches just don't put in. Breaks my heart because it's not, nothing's perfect and not everything.
That was a special piece about this trip with Cooperstown and
Everybody
Branson.
plays, but maybe
Another
that's
way.
different because it's baseball. But in football, you don't have to really
It's
do
not
that. They want
always.
you to, but
It's not always.
Not always. Yeah. I mean,
they don't have to be in the lineup, but you have a number of people in the lineup, so that's the lineup.
They were like playing minimums, but
Yeah.
you don't have to play everyone equal all the time.
I
but-
guess that's life.
But I think the coaches did a really good job in Cooperstown and Branson. I don't know if everybody would agree, but as far as I was aware, everybody played, everybody batted. And to your point, because,
Well, it's like-
you just want your kid to play.
well, and I like
right?
what
You
Nate
just
said
want 'em to
too.
play.
These kids are volunteering.
Yeah.
Like to me, that kind of just changed my perspective when you
Right.
said that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you got to look at it too, distance travel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
If we told them to go to the moon, they go to the moon at
Yeah.
this point, right?
Yeah.
It's really the parents who we're asking a lot of to go to Cooperstown, New York, and then to go to Branson, Missouri. So, I think in those situations where you're asking people to travel with you, I think there's an expectation to play
the
too.
kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's like
Right.
I'm not coming all the way here
Yeah.
to watch my son or daughter play, a couple innings. And, so I think that Coach Shadis, who coached the Branson team, and I coached the Cooperstown team, we were very mindful of that,
Yeah.
right? That everyone deserves a shot. And they're all all-stars.
Right.
Right. I mean, yeah, are some kids better hitters than others? Are some kids better fields than others? Of course, right? That's just how it is. But it's percentage points, right? It's not you're here and you're here. It's like you might be here, but the other person's here. So
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, I'm thinking like back in the day, if I told my parents we had to travel for this stuff, I think they would have said no.
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I think it would
Right?
be interesting.
Yeah.
Like back when we grew up. Well, I'm older than you. I'm older than both of you, but
Well, I think they forget too. I mean, I say that, but I was a ski racer. And when my mother hears our schedule, she's like, oh my God. And I'll say, you're the one who would drive me 3 hours up and over mountains to stand on the side of a mountain in sub-zero temperatures. And it going down was like 23 seconds. Like that was it. And then
Go
you go,
Ace.
and I might fall. And
Yeah.
so then I'm disqualified. Like, that was it.
Right.
But in the moment, you know, to Nate's point, like you really do, you go to the ends of the earth, and we're in a different world now
Yeah,
with
it really
sports
is,
overall.
right.
And that was a point I wanted to ask you, Nate. So something I played sports in college, and I wasn't recruited. I wasn't D1, but I ski raced in college, and I walked on the team, and I rode, and it was some of the best experience of my life. I went to UMass, so 25,000 students there, so it immediately reduced the school down in size. It put me with people who were just like myself, either that wanted to exercise, loved the camaraderie, and that went along with the sport. And those were more individual rather than, a team contributing to the whole. But it also gave me access to student athlete services, to tutoring, to advisors, to the gym, to coaching. And it bums me out when I hear, and it's so common when I hear friends or peers whose kids go to college and they burned out and they don't want to play. And I'm not saying you don't have to play D1. Like that's so rare. It's like right before you go professional, right? And it's so rare. But you can, if you're an athlete, you can play a sport and in college, especially at a university, because there's everything. And it just
Good point.
kills me when, what is it that we're doing to these kids that by their junior, senior year, they don't want to advance? To your point of like, if we can have kids play so that they want to play next year, then we've done our job, right? What is it that we're doing that we're burning them out?
This is a big topic of conversation between me and my, friends now, because our kids are getting older. And, I feel like I can come at it from a couple ways. I mean, I've been a baseball umpire and football official for, over 25 years now, right? So I've been to a lot of high school games, right? I've been to a lot of high school baseball games. I've been to a lot of high school football games, probably more than most people, just because for the nature of my part-time job. And I covered I covered Division I sports for 3 years. I covered the Virginia Tech football team and the Virginia Tech basketball team. So I've seen what it takes to be a Division I athlete. I've seen, I've sort of like, for lack of a better term, like I know how the hot dog's made, to a certain extent, because I covered it soup to nuts, right? We did the whole bit. And I think to your point, I think it's a few things going on. I think we live in an echo chamber. I think that's probably the number one thing that I think once you get involved in youth sports, and then you start going up, and now you're involved in high school sports or club sports, you sort of you surround now some of your friends are sports people, right? I mean, you still probably got your crew from home and you get your crew from here, but a lot of people, we're in Missouri, we're all friends now, we're hanging out, we're buddies. So you start surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, right? And then your social media feeds magically start sending you people hitting all the time, right? It's like, or people, or about other club teams or other accomplishments that players are making, or and then I think all of a sudden, without even knowing it, right, you've immersed yourself in this life that you think is huge, but at the end of the day is probably a very small fraction of life.
Right.
So I think once you get into that, then there becomes certain expectations, right? You see I see this person playing for this team and I see this person only playing one sport. They gave up these two other sports because, I think, what my instincts are telling me and what society is telling me is that in order to be the best hockey player or a baseball player or a football player, I just got to do that. And if I just do that 365 days a year, I'm going to probably get better. Maybe I'll achieve this, goal or this level. And, then I think you start, to your point, well, okay, I see a lot of people, I hear about people being recruited. I see a lot of people being recruited. I see people going to different tournaments and things to put themselves in front of coaches. I mean, now maybe I got to get my kid recruited. Maybe I got to go to a camp. Maybe I got to make a Instagram account. So then I think by the end of it, at the end of the day, there is a finite number of Division I scholarships for everybody, right? There's not the million of them, right? Football teams have 85 football scholarships. Some baseball teams they just made a new rule, so they have more scholarships now. But, there are very few college baseball teams in the country that can front 35 scholarships, right? Most have probably 7, 10, 15. So then I think if you're just focusing on that aspect, then you're missing the greater point, which I think you're making, is that, I worked in Western Mass, so I really fell in love with like the New England Small College Athletic Conference, right? Schools like Amherst, Bowdoin, Bates, Williams, Trinity, places like that. Great academic schools, Division III sports with lots of great traditions. And yeah, those schools certainly do recruit. My brother played football at Bates. He was recruited to play football at Bates. But a lot of those schools you just show up to Amherst and decide you want to do X, then you could probably do it, right? If you're proficient at the sport and then you have a great experience there. Or maybe it's a Division II school like Bentley, or maybe it's a sport that you never even thought of. Maybe you show up to a school and do crew.
Right.
Or maybe you show up to a school and do rugby.
Right.
So, like you said, there's a wide world of sports, but I think, from my viewpoint, that I think we're just, I think we've sort of some of us, and I'm guilty of it just as the next person, is that we surrounded us with so many like-minded people and so much social media and that we've sort of, the expectations have changed, right? Where, and that'd be great. If Easton has a great tradition, especially right now, baseball, we got a lot of good baseball players. So that'd be awesome if some of these baseball players went on to play Division I college and, went on to great careers. But it'd also be great if a couple of kids went down the street and played at Bridgewater State, or a couple of kids went here and did that. So, I give the basketball player at OA, I saw that she just committed to Trinity. That's great. What a great experience that's going to be. That's a powerhouse Division III school, and I bet she has a blast.
Nate, do you see some of these kids playing sports because their parents want them to, and that they're kind of that's just it's their parents' dream, and it's not really what they want to do, but it's just become now expected of them to just keep going
at the club level, not town.
Yeah, I see. I'm sure it happens,
and it's like, how do you get out of that?
It's horrible to watch,
right?
Yeah, I think it happens, and again, just from, as an educator, I know that, up until you're 12 or 13, you're going to do what your parents tell you to do, right? That's your number one motivator is pleasing adults. So you're going to do what pleases the adults, and then it's very remarkable, and you have teenagers, this, right? 14, 15, that shifts. Now the person you're trying to please is your friend, your peers. You're no longer interested in pleasing your parents. You're just not, like, chemically, like social emotionally. That's just a shift. It's so I think that if you to our earlier point, if you haven't built that sort of base where you're allowing this kid, this 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12-year-old to understand that failure is a part of life, failure is a part of sports. I can fail. I can just get up there and try again. What I enjoy about this is the sport of it. I enjoy the exercise. I enjoy the spending time with my friends. Then I think when they get to that age where if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. They do it.
Yeah, and I almost think it's something you have to ask your kids every year before they sign up again for the sport. Are you doing this for you?
Always
because
gotta be a
don't do
one-year
it for me.
contract, yeah.
I have nothing to do with this. You have to do this because you love to do it.
Yeah. Where I see it the most is when I'm umpiring a baseball game, right? Because at that point I'm a sort of independent, I'm hovering over the situation. I'm rooting for the team. I'm rooting for the home team because that's going to get me out of there 20 minutes earlier, right? So I want the home team to win, right? I want a pitch and duel. I don't want to be here for 2.5 hours, right? So I don't have a stake in the performances of the players. I may umpire a team where I know a player on the team or a coach, but at this point I'm able to separate all that and just umpire the game, right? And you do see it as an umpire when you're just an independent observer, and it's that Sunday in June, and this team has to play a doubleheader, and nobody wants to be there, and you get to that second game, you do see it at that point, and you kind of ask yourself, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here, right? What could maybe a 1-9 inning game been all right? Because this is not, as an umpire, again, as me umpiring this game and getting X amount of dollars to be here for 2 games, which is probably going to be 4.5 hours, is this helpful? Is this beneficial to everyone? And, I think the current model is that for travel baseball, that they're doing these doubleheaders. They want kids to have opportunities to play games. And, I think to a certain extent that is probably a good thing. I mean, kids do need to play more. They need to be put in all these different situations that could happen in a game constantly to improve. But, I think there's probably a balance. I think there's probably a way we can split the difference, so to speak, and provide these kids with playing opportunities, but also understand that some of this is not developmentally appropriate, and to be asking maybe like 12 or 11, 12, 13-year-olds to dedicate 8 hours of their life on a weekend to baseball is maybe better. There's only a certain amount of kids who can really do that and be like, some other kids might be like, this is all, I could be doing a lot. And listen, they haven't gotten to the point. My son's going to be a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
So none of these kids have their license yet. None of these, there's, we all know relationships and girlfriends come into play. So at some point, a lot of things, sports are number one right now. But, a lot of things
right.
A lot of things could intercede, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, this was not a great experience for me. Now I have this thing that is, I love driving my car. I got my license.
Right.
Maybe I'm not going to do this anymore. And, I think some parents probably have a hard time with that.
Right.
Maybe that's where some of the burnout comes from.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure.
Of the decisions.
Yeah, when Alexa was little, she was asked to be on the gymnastics team because she was little and she flipped all around. And I said, well, how many hours a week is that going to entail? And they told me, and I said, no.
Yeah, gymnastics is quite a commitment.
No, she's not going
year
to.
Round.
But that's just me, and I don't know, if sports, if that, my son played everything, but he wasn't on any type of a travel team or anything. But I just don't know if as a parent, I would want to make that commitment.
Some don't.
I just don't.
Yeah, some don't.
I said this to my girlfriend
because
who had
I
her
don't
son
know,
started playing hockey. She was, and I said, we need to have a sit down so that you know what's involved with having a child who plays hockey, because it's next level.
And it's hard for me to really understand, like, to get into these kids' heads that they really want to play all of this time.
So I will say, with my 3 kids, I know other children who will complain about not wanting to go to practice or not wanting to go to games or not wanting to, play for 8 hours. It seems incomprehensible to me, but never once have my children complained about, and I've had big ears for it because, on Monday I drove 5 hours, literally was in my car for 5 hours driving my children from the morning until night, various times a day, 20 minutes here, 40 minutes here, right? Like, crazy. So big ears. Like, if I heard it, I would say, okay, this is enough. Never once have they complained about it. And I don't know if it's the dynamic that we've created in our household, or if I see them as genuinely having fun, with their teammates. Like this trip that Keegan was on, they did play baseball. It was intense. You could see their intensity. You know, they would get sad if they struck out or whatever. You could see that. But the minute it was over, it was behind them, and they couldn't wait to. And they hang out. Evan and Keegan golfed the other day. Like, they're hanging out afterwards and doing all other types of things. So maybe that's it. And like these tournaments that we go on, you know, we go out to dinners or we do other stuff.
So what are you supposed to do? So if kids are complaining and they don't want to go to practice, and you know, as a parent, you have to say, come on, you made a commitment to this team. You have to go to practice. But how many times do you have to hear that before you really hear that maybe they really don't want to play? And when do you give them that out?
I mean, you probably have a rule in your house. I mean, my rule is that once you commit, you can't quit.
Right.
So I've committed for the 25-26 football season. I want to play football. Okay, great. Then we're playing football. So that's your commitment. You know, you committed to the coach who built a game plan around having this many players. You committed to the team who, you know, expect this person to be there. So that's your commitment. Now, but it's only a one-year contract.
Right.
So I mean, I similar. My kids have not complained about going to, you know, practices and games. You know, there are times where they, you know, as the dad, you might say, hey, you want to go hit balls? And they're like, not really. And then you just kind of leave it, right? You're not going to, you know, there's no point in dragging them there.
Yeah.
But every year I just ask them, I go, you want to do it again? If you want to do it again, that's fine. If you want to do something different, like basketball, or doesn't matter, play the saxophone, it's fine with me. And, you know, and that's kind of where we leave it. So they know. So I think they know at this point that there's really, you know, once we've decided we're going to do this, you know, I can express my displeasure at times, but there's probably not a lot of, you know, there's not much of a point to sort of fight too much because we're going to honor that commitment because it's only fair.
Right. Sure.
But they also know that at the end of the season, they don't have to play next year. Right.
They're out.
Right. Well, not all kids. No,
well, I'm just saying in
right.
Nate's
for you,
scenario.
Right. For both of you. Yeah. But there's parents out there that feel differently and they want their kids.
Well, I've also witnessed, which can be tough, it's modeling behavior. Right. So I'm up at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym for a 6 o'clock class or to go do my exercise, right? To walk. I don't complain about it. If my kids had practice every night at 6 o'clock or my 5 hours, I'm like, God, 5 hours. Well, I don't labor on about that so that they don't feel badly. Right. Or they're not going to see me complaining about going to work. If they saw me complaining about going to work, they're going to complain about going to school. Right. Like, I think how we model and how we approach this, if every night they had practice at 7 o'clock and I was like, oh, I can't believe I have to take you. Do you have to go?
Right.
They're not going to want to do it. Right. You know, to the point of until they're 12 years old, they're people pleasing, they're parent pleasing. And so if they see that, then they're going to think, oh, well, I don't want to go. And so then you're in a bad cycle there. But if you're the parent and you're like, hey, look, lucky you get to go play at Militia Park in Easton. Not everybody gets to go do that. They're going to be excited about it. And you can get your contenders afterwards for dinner. Awesome. You know, and that positive reinforcement. But if as a parent, I do hear what you're saying because you hear the parents who are pushing when a kid really doesn't want to. And I witness that. I know of a situation right now and it bums me out because there's nothing this kid can do because the dad coaches, the kid does not play at the level that he is in. Mm-hmm. And so he's the bottom of the barrel and then his dad's screaming at him because he's not playing. And like, it's horrible to see. And there's nothing the kid can do, right? Like that scenario is just, and it becomes a break-even point. I mean, we did have in our household where, you know, my husband was putting too much pressure coaching our oldest son. And my oldest son just wanted to please his dad. So one day he came home and he was crying. And I was like, okay, we need to stop here because now we're in the opposite direction. You're coaching, but you're not helping him anymore. Right. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was doing. Like, you know, immediately pull back because they do want to they want to
please their parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if you did like a poll of, you know, some of the life's greatest achievers, you know, they probably, I read Andre Agassi's book Open, which was great. I mean, he's an outlier, right? His father pushed him to the breaking point when he was 3 years old, to the point that in the book it said Andre Agassi at 7 years old hated tennis. Like he didn't
Right.
want to be anywhere near tennis.
Right.
But that's what he did his whole life, right?
Yep.
So he battled his entire life playing a sport that he like viscerally hated,
Yeah.
he said in the book, right?
Wow.
So, but I think if you did, I think if you looked at the world's, the greatest achievers of sports, I bet they have a similar story in that they played the sport, their parents went to cheer them on, were interested, but didn't probably push them that hard, let them do their thing. Like I give my parents a lot of credit. They let me, if I wanted to do something, I did it. And then if I didn't want to do it, they didn't make me. Right. I wanted to play football. I played football. I didn't want to play football one year. I didn't play. And then I played the next year.
Right.
Right. I imagine like the angst some people would feel if their kid who was doing something for a while just stopped doing it for a year. But they let me. They didn't put up a big fight. They didn't put up a big stink about it.
That's really important. Yeah.
And then, a friend of mine was a college coach, and he played college sports. And I was picking his brain about something. He said, "You know what?" He's like, after every game, and when my dad gave me a ride home, he didn't bring up one part of my game.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even mention it.
I don't do that.
Like
with my
he
kids.
didn't.
Yep.
He didn't mention an at bat. He didn't mention a basket.
Yep.
He didn't even bring it up.
Yep.
We just drove home
Yeah.
and talked about something else. I'm like, wow, that's that's pretty. But it must be nice as a kid.
Yes.
To realize that when you get in the car, you don't have to relive
Right.
what if
Yes.
something bad.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it's hard for
Very
a lot
hard.
of parents.
And I've done it, right?
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I catch myself and go, nope, not talking about it right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Right. But then you're
Yeah.
like,
So hard.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, I think, someone had said to my husband when they were asking about the sport, and he was like, yeah, he loves hockey, but he also loves cartoons.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It's the balance,
Right.
and every family's different. And some, like I have a girlfriend who tried the club route, and she was like, this isn't for our family. It's too intense, too much. And he's not loving playing anymore. And so town works for us.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
Everyone
the beauty
needs
of our
a
town.
break,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Like me, I also went to London this summer
That's
to
right.
see the Oasis reunion tour, which was pretty fun. So that was my
He
break,
did like,
Oh.
how many days was it? It was like Fast and Furious, right?
4. Yeah, so
Flew to
Thursday,
London.
Friday, Saturday, fly back Sunday.
I love that.
I
That's
love
my
it so
next
much.
destination.
Yeah, it was great. I'd only
London.
been to Ireland. So London was great. I'd definitely go back.
So cool.
Nice.
You know what's pretty fun is we have family coming in, and they want to see my brother and sister-in-law. My brother-in-law loves history, and so he'll just go to like Scotland to go see the castles, whatever. And they're coming to Boston.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
I'm so excited. I've got a big list
Oh,
of
you put
like,
their list together?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of like what to do, where to go, and so when it's your own city, I mean, I haven't really toured Boston in a while, so to be able to go to like Union Oyster House or like go see the Constitution or the Freedom Trail or
Don't
Paul
forget
Revere's
the
house.
Holocaust Memorial.
The Holocaust Memorial, or now the Greenway, right? Like
Yeah.
it used to be the Southeast Expressway, and
Duck
it's just
tour?
all parks. Duck tour, absolutely.
Yep.
It'd be a lot of fun.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll have
Fun to do our own city.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Red Sox are on like a week away. They leave tomorrow night
Playing
and
the
they're
Yankees
gone.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on the road.
You
I
know, the Red Sox-Yankee rivalry just isn't what it used to be.
It is not.
No.
Remember? You couldn't
Not
even
gonna
go
get
in-
not like the good old. Well,
Not
you
like
know,
the good old days.
Now that they won all
did
those
I?
World Series, we don't
Right.
have all that vitriol. but-
Right.
Pre-2004, it was nasty.
It
in
was
the
so
bleachers.
great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
great.
A lot of Yankees fans in Easton, so you got to be careful.
Crazy.
Oh.
Keegan's a Yankees fan. I'm like, what?
Excuse me?
How does that even
You know
happen?
what? Now we're ending the podcast.
Exactly. Like,
Nat,
what?
Nate, thank you so much.
Nat is an approved nickname for Nathan. You could call me Nat.
What did Nancy call you? What was it? It's not Nat Manimus. What was it? Was the
I don't know. My mom calls me Nathan. Most people call me Nate.
Yeah.
Sometimes people call me Nate Dog, but
Nate Dogg.
Yeah. Well, I call my son Gregory, and everyone else calls him Greg. And that's all we have time for, folks.
Oh my
this
God.
was a lot of fun. Thank you for
This
having
was
me.
riveting.
Thanks,
Thank
Nate
you so
Crossman.
much. Yay, Nate Crossman. Woohoo!
I do